Hey everybody, welcome to day 26, Q&A day. Lots of great questions. We'll get to them right away. I'm going to take my time with some of them because they're worthy of elaboration. First question: why is COVID-19 still classified as SARS-CoV-2 when it is known that it is not a respiratory disease but an endothelial disease? So this is something that MedCram has been covering for nearly 2 weeks as a hypothesis. When you say it's known, yes, we see this happening. There's a hypothesis that it's an endothelial disease, and they're almost certainly right, but it's still a hypothesis. But put that conversation aside. What I want you guys to recognize is when we started this particular 40-day challenge, the second 40-day challenge, Jordan and I wanted to cover oxidative stress. And please just understand that at the end of the day, that disease of the endothelium is a result of oxidative stress. We started to realize that a lot of you guys just weren't watching the videos and it was just a little bit too much. And that's fine. Like, we want your feedback and we won't waste your time or our time with things that are over people's heads. But we did make the attempt to kind of get there and show how that would happen. But the bottom line is that everything that's happening that we described through that electron transport chain, that whole, how that gets backed up, the superoxide, all the minerals that we talked about, and other supplements. We talked about NAC, we talked about ubiquinol, all these things to help support different parts of that electron transport chain, that oxidative stress, the superoxide. Later on, we talked about glutathione. You get the idea. We didn't get to the end of the story because it was just not enough listeners that were tuning in, and that's fine. So we tried to make it simpler, and that's why I started doing more cooking videos and stuff like that for you guys, and tell you a little bit more about spices and supplements and answer your specific questions. But I just wanted to be clear that at the end of the day, yes, it's a hypothesis. It seems to be very strong that it is in fact a disease of the endothelium. That is the whole reason why 40 days ago we said, let's talk about oxidative stress, because it is the oxidative stress that is causing not only this disease of the endothelium, but like we said many, many times in the videos, that if you understand oxidative stress, you're going to understand almost all diseases, because at the end of the day, that is the major pathway that leads to disease, is oxidative stress. So great question. Hopefully that answers it. Like I said, this is something that MedCram has been all over for the past couple of weeks, and they would strongly agree with that hypothesis. Number two, in the article on acetaminophen, it recommended 20 to 30 milligrams per kilogram of weight per day, which would be around 2,000 milligrams per day for me, meaning for the questioner. But you and Jordan recommended 500 per day. Is there a harm in taking the recommended dose? I know taking too much causes liver toxicity. So I believe it's been a little while since I saw this research, but I think that the dosages were given for a few different situations. I think one was specific to muscle building, another one was specific to cardiovascular benefit, another one was specific to the anti-inflammatory benefits in the brain. So you're going to want to look more carefully at the dosages there. Point is that if you're going to do this, I would spread the doses out throughout the day. I would do a morning, midday, and night. If you're taking it specifically for neuroprotection, I would take it at night. And again, to reiterate, if you're going to take it, I would take it like I do many of my supplements, which I cycle them about every 2 or 3 weeks, at most a month. So I gave the example, if you do CurePro for a month, maybe you do the acetaminophen for a month, something like that. Something that has similar anti-inflammatory benefits. So again, acetaminophen is mostly anti-inflammatory in the brain, so it seems to have some neural protection that we mentioned. We linked the article so that you guys could read it yourself and make your own conclusions, but again, excellent question. But like I said, I'm pretty sure that they were testing 3 different things, and I'm almost positive that the dosages were different for each of the 3 things studied. Number 3, so let me go into a Bob Goldsmith question, speaking of cycling supplements. And this is something that I have talked about in the past a few times, but Bob asked, do you cycle some of your supplements? The answer is yes. I don't talk a lot about it a whole bunch unless I announce that I'm going to talk about it and if people are interested in it, because it's just confusing for some people. Honestly, I have trouble just, convincing people to swallow a vitamin D3 in the middle of a D3 pill in the middle of the winter. I can look right at a kid who's 14 years old, okay, and say right off of the bat exactly which supplements and minerals this kid needs based on looking at their skin, their eyes, their tongue, and give all of the evidence to the parent and the kid, and you would be shocked to learn at what little follow through there is. So I'm most concerned about, people listening to their bodies and understanding what signals are happening there between sleep, digestion, energy levels, your skin. There's a whole bunch of signals your body's giving out all the time. And to feel lethargic, to feel like your skin isn't right, to feel like your digestion isn't right, to not be sleeping well, these are all signals of something else that needs to be addressed. So when it comes to cycling things, when you get to that point, like once you are locked into a routine every morning, it's really tough. It's really hard because you're going to make breakfast or a coffee. You're going to do something in the kitchen, right? So you can imagine how difficult it would be to put your supplements right next to the thing that you're about to go to in the kitchen every morning, right? You're going to get your car keys, okay? It would be just impossible to put your supplements right next to your car keys so you don't forget them. It's all about setting yourself up for success, right? Whatever you're going to do at the end of the night, you're going to brush your teeth at night, then you put your magnesium there because that's a supplement to take at night. We've gone over these things. It's about taking yourself seriously. It's about taking science seriously. It's about understanding the benefit of what you're doing. And then once you recognize, holy cow, I can't believe the difference. Then you want more. And the more is how to cycle certain supplements and when to do that. It's a more complicated conversation. We can go into it in a whole nother seminar, but I'm not going to do it here. But the answer is yes, I do cycle certain supplements. Okay, number 3, this is really the 4th question. And this one's important. I want everybody to listen to this one. I met a friend yesterday that got COVID. He is not overweight, exercises and eats healthy. He was sick and recovered with no hospitalization, but post-recovery, he was shaking with tremors on his left side, mainly in his arm. That has been ongoing for weeks. This never happened before. He is seeing a neurologist who believes that COVID impacted his nervous system. It seems that we still don't know enough about COVID to determine if a healthy immune system is the only criteria for full recovery. Have you read anything about post-COVID symptoms? Okay, this is a great question, a great observation. Let me just start off with a couple of things that are important within the question. Pause, get you guys to recognize a couple of things. So the relevance of this question is very important, which I promise I will address. I just want you guys to hear a couple of buzzwords. I met a friend yesterday that got COVID. He is not overweight. Let me pause there. What do we mean by that? He is not overweight. Now, I want to remind you, we are in 2020. If we go back 60 years ago, I showed you guys a scale that was in a diner, okay, and it predicted height and body weight. The truth is when you look at the body mass index, and everybody should do that, just Google body mass index, look at height, look at your height, and look at what your weight should be. So if you are 5'10", you should be about 167, 168 pounds. Woo! You know what the average 5'10" person is today? Closer to 200 pounds. Now that's average. So if you say to me that he's not overweight, well, you mean compared to the average person who's 200 pounds, which is really 33 pounds overweight? Is that what you mean? See, that's what I'm saying, guys. We have this idea of what overweight is and isn't. It's compared to a society that's way overweight. So to say that somebody's not overweight, now this person may in fact be 5'10", 167. That's fine. Or he may be 5'10", 200. The point is that the one thing we know about COVID is that it affects the population. In other words, it maps onto body mass index. And there's a whole nother conversation I had about body mass index. Please don't send me any texts or emails saying, yeah, but body mass index isn't relevant. I already went there. I already did that whole thing. I put out a whole manual years ago that broke up men and women and different body types. I even talked about genetics. I talked about all that stuff in great detail. I'm well aware of it. The point is that the mass of your body matters. So I just want to be clear that when we make generalizations about talking about other people, and I see this a lot, so I see it on YouTube. Here was another one. Bodybuilder comes down with COVID and is hospitalized. Let me tell you guys a little secret, okay? The average bodybuilder is one of the most unhealthy people you'll ever run into. You want to know why? Because the average bodybuilder uses a lot of drugs called testosterone. Okay, so if you call yourself a bodybuilder, first of all, the telltale signs are obvious when you're on steroids. Okay, so the average bodybuilder is on testosterone. Now, what did I tell you guys? We know that men are much more likely men are much more likely to succumb to this disease than women. Okay, so what are one of the reasons? One of the main reasons is estrogen is protective and testosterone is a problem for reasons we discussed in another video. So a bodybuilder who is already by nature making his body larger and larger artificially, and again, I will reiterate that body mass, meaning the size of the body, actually matters with COVID. And then guess what else bodybuilders tend to do? They tend to go through crazy cycles where they put weight on and take weight off. Okay, so now this person who's classified as a bodybuilder, who's on testosterone, one of the things that we know maps onto problems with COVID and death, and he's off peak, right? The time to compete in most bodybuilding federations is summer and fall. So here he is during his mass phase, and some of these dudes put on 40, 50, 60 pounds in order to get more massive. And here he is on his testosterone, putting, a large amount of weight on his body. And the way in which a lot of these guys do it is not by the healthiest means. And now you see on YouTube, look, even bodybuilders, these guys who you are under the impression are the healthiest people on the planet, when in fact they absolutely abuse themselves. When I named the gym, I named the gym Fit for Life, and I have tried to demonstrate that you can do things like strength sport and natural bodybuilding, as well as fundraisers that are strength based, that you can actually do this with a totally normal body. I happen to be exactly 5'10" and almost exactly 167 pounds, which is exactly the normal body that you would predict. I am not some super massive 5'10", 205 running back in the NFL. The point is, guys, is that we have to remember when we make generalities about people's bodies, their health, and things like this, there's usually a whole other side of the story we're not hearing about. Okay, let me get back to the question. Sorry I digressed there. But he also says, he eats healthy. Well, how do you know? Well, how do we know this person? Because if I took on face value what people tell me when I meet with them, okay, the first time, when I meet with them face to face, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of dealing with people one-on-one, with their nutrition. Come to find out, after weeks of working with them, what they report is not what they eat. Or they report what they eat, but what they don't report are the things that they are eating that they don't want me to know about, or drinking. So if you're drinking, a half a bottle of wine a night, and if you think I'm kidding, it's not uncommon. The alcohol use in this country is staggering. So there's people may say, well, I eat really healthy, but what else? Because if you're only eating healthy 4, 5, 6 days a week, but the weekends you binge, that's not eating healthy. If you're binging and drinking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's not eating healthy. It's just not. Okay, health is consistency. So let's just take for granted. Let's just assume this person is perfect body weight, that he eats perfectly healthy, and this person came down with COVID. It does say he recovered, however, without going to the hospital. However, he's come down with these tremors. Now, yes, it is possible that COVID played some role in what's going on with his neurology here. There are articles that you can look up that speculate that it is possible that other neurological conditions can come up. But I also want to reiterate that this is not uncommon for many things. So usually some type of trauma to the body can lead to symptoms of other stuff afterwards. So that's why people with autoimmune disorders tend to get more than one. As soon as the immune system's compromised, it allows for other things to sort of sneak into play. So something like COVID, I would imagine, would make this person much more likely to exhibit signs of Lyme's disease if he did in fact have Lyme's that was lying dormant in his body, for example. So now you've got COVID, and if you have Lyme's that is dormant in your body, of course, that reason why I say that is because Lyme's is synonymous with a lot of left side problems. So I'm just making a guess. Okay, you can tell me, once you find out what's going on with this guy, if I'm right or wrong. But yes, this is not uncommon. It is possible. Like I said, though, I just want you to understand that it's not only COVID. There could be a variety of viruses, diseases, problems that would map onto other problems within a body once it's compromised. That's why it is important to stay on top of your health. Finally, I want to read a comment from the video that I posted 2 days ago, which said it's going to be my last video talking about COVID, and I laid out a whole bunch of information in there. I just tried to make it like, all right, boom, here we go, listen up. So the person said this, and I want you to listen carefully. Good video with great info that no one is talking about, but the meme is ignorant. Now the meme said, why should I wear a mask for your protection if you're not even willing to eat healthy for yourself? So why should I wear a mask to protect you if you won't even eat healthy for yourself? Now, listen to what the person says and then listen to what I respond. So again, good video with great info that no one is talking about. Thank you, by the way. But the meme is ignorant. Many people in the world who are not symptomatic can run into people with comorbidity outside of their control or other risk factors due to age or unknown genetic issues, having nothing to do with how they eat or care for themselves. It goes on to confirm other things that I said later in the video about what we should have done. That's neither here or there. My response was this. If my mom insisted on seeing me and my kids every Sunday, but also insisted we wear a mask, that's fine. That's truly fine with me. Okay, if my mom said that and insisted that we do that, that's fine. But if when we showed up, she was smoking cigarettes, eating Cheetos, and drinking a fifth of vodka, I would say, Mom, why are we wearing these masks for you if you won't even eat healthy for yourself? The meme is not saying I won't wear a mask. It's asking a much more thought-provoking question, which puts most readers on the defensive. Lack of personal responsibility is the issue we are facing in this country. And I stand by that. I stand by that. It's not saying I won't wear a mask. It's saying, why should I do something for you if you won't even do something for yourself? That's even more important, and more important in these series of videos, because you guys know we're going through the science. We're not just talking gibberish here. We're explaining to you how all disease works. So hopefully that made sense. It's just asking a more penetrating question. It's saying, okay, we're all wearing these masks, right? But why am I doing this if you're going to go do that? That's what it's asking, okay? All right, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Hopefully you got something out of these videos. If you have more questions, just follow them up. All right, have a good one.